Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and today I just left a courtroom that I just saw the most remarkable act by a judge ever that I've ever seen, especially in Broward County. I had a case and was closing out the case, and there was a litigant that was representing herself pro se, right? So she, with no attorney. Apparently, she had been charged with reckless driving and resisting an officer without violence. And this incident happened in Hollywood, Florida, a place where police generally don't have a very good reputation at all. And there's lots of validating reasons why. So the woman is representing herself, and the state puts on the police officer. He tells his story, which is basically he's driving down the road with his partner. They're a crime scene unit. Basically, that means that they're not wearing normal police gear. They're undercover, but they have tactical vests on. Basically, look like stormtroopers, right? It's black on black, and then they have machine guns and all these kinds of crazy things. Yes, they have machine guns. So they're part of an undercover street team. So apparently what the officer says under oath is that the woman honks the horn at him and then goes around him on the left-hand side, which he says is an area that you can't make a left, and there's a concrete barrier. She says it's the turning lane, and she's making a left. Ultimately, he says that he pulls her over a couple blocks later, and she automatically gets out of the car and rushes his vehicle. And him and the other detective tell her to enter her vehicle. And that once they get to the vehicle, they smell the odor of cannabis. They don't find any cannabis. They find leaves, or as he calls it, shake on the floor, but not enough for him to do a test on, or his testimony was, I'd have to vacuum your car if I wanted to get the evidence. His hands are folded. I was sitting there because I was going, as a friend of the court, I'm probably going to have to interject and help this woman, because they charge her with reckless driving. There's some facts that need to be established for reckless driving. I didn't think it was a reckless driving, even if his statements were true. I thought it was really a careless driving. And then he says that she tensed up and didn't readily put her hands behind her back, and that she, in fact, spit while she was in the back of the police car. She ultimately takes the stand. She starts to talk about, what was going on, that she saw while she was at a light. She saw the individual in front of her staring at her through the mirror. Thought it was odd, but because he kept looking, she looked behind her. And when she looked behind her, she saw another vehicle that appeared to be undercover police officers with tactical vests behind her. Well, now the light turns green and nothing happens. So she's sitting there waiting for, hey, so she honks the horn at him, and then proceeds to go. There's, I guess, 2 left turn lanes there, and goes to change lanes to go around him. And then he pulls her over, half a mile down the road. When she's pulled over, she says that there's 4 cop cars, 5 or 6 police officers on the scene. And the first officer comes over to her, asks her for her ID, license, registration, insurance, but before she's even able to respond, he walks away from the car. Well, now she's standing there, other cop cars are pulling up, she's getting nervous, and she doesn't know what's going on, and her purse is in the trunk of her vehicle, so she doesn't want to get out because she's scared, but no one's approaching her. Well, finally they tell her, oh, we smell weed, and get out of the car. And apparently she's going through a hard time. She works 2 jobs, and part of her testimony is that while she's while she's cross-examining the police officer, she asked, did you find the suicide note? And man, all bells and whistles go off for the judge, for the state attorney. For me, I'm the only person in the courtroom watching. And, it turned out, here's this woman that, has lost her mother, recently passed away. Her father, she doesn't know where he is. She doesn't have any brothers or sisters. She's an only child. She's a certified nursing assistant. She also works for the parking, I guess the parking district or something like that. 2 jobs working. Seems like a very nice woman, extremely diligent in her work, because I mean, she had binders and clips and index cards and notes, and you know, she was doing her best. She had no legal training, but she tells her story, and she's just like, look, you know, I don't know why, like, I don't know why they pulled me over, because none of what he said happened. He goes, I didn't even go around until like the light was green, and he didn't go. All the cars had driven around, so like, I'm like, well, I'll go around him. And then she said, you know, like a half a mile down the road, he pulls her over. He's real aggressive with her, and she's like, what are you talking about? Anyway, they charge you with reckless driving, which it's not. It's careless driving, even if his testimony was believed. And you know, the resisting without violence, whatever. Ultimately, the judge listened to the story and dismissed it. And I literally had, I teared up, because it was the nicest, it was the right decision, and it doesn't happen a lot. The judge did it all on her own. No attorney had to step up. The woman was representing herself pro se. It didn't even get the argument, because when the argument came, I was going to say, Judge, can I get up and can argue it, because I just listened to all the facts of the case from both sides, but didn't even need to do anything. The judge did it. I literally teared up. She also brought in a mental health expert, someone who helps with suicide prevention, to meet with the woman after court. And I couldn't help myself. I walked over to the judge, said, Judge, can I approach? And when she came back from behind the bench, I hugged her and held the hug and said, that's the best thing that I've ever seen anyone do in a courtroom ever. It was fantastic. It's amazing. You did the right thing. You know, thank you for being the judge that you are. I mean, just phenomenal. If you want to know who the judge is, it was Judge Lerner Wren. She's the mental health court judge, but she also handles misdemeanors in Broward. I ended up talking to the prosecutor afterwards. He wished he knew all those facts, because he probably wouldn't have prosecuted it. It was just amazing. And you know, just at a time where I'm always saying, like, the system's broken, the system's broken, the system's broken, all of a sudden Santa Claus just came to town and fixed it. Judge Lerner Wren did I wish it was on video. I wish, because it was the nicest, most humane, kind, right, correct decision, Christian thing to do that I've ever seen done in a courtroom. And I'm happy that I was just there to watch it. You know, God bless us, God bless the court system, and especially God bless Judge Lerner Wren for doing the right thing in that case. Take care, guys. I'm Attorney Roger P. Foley, sharing literally like a historic moment. As far as me, if I practice another 20 years, I'll never forget this day. The judge did the right thing, and it was such an emotional thing listening to that woman talk about her life and how she felt and how she was scared and she panicked and you know, she didn't know what they were going to do to her. It was touching. The right decision was made. Thank goodness.